Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the concluding part of our really exciting one day, and we are so privileged to have Secretary General Ban Ki-moon with us. He has actually launched the Women's Empowerment Principles only 3 years ago, and today we are here to also tell him a little bit how the initiative has evolved. So before we invite the Secretary General to share some closing thoughts with us, we thought it would be a good idea just to give a quick feedback from what we have heard over the day. And I would like to quickly call on 4 participants of the day to share reflections with us. I would like to first call on Bolaji Agbede from Access Bank, Nigeria. Where are you, please? Here. Thank you.
Good evening, Secretary General, Excellencies, honored guests here. It's a privilege to be here. I've learned a lot in about 8 hours that I've been here. But one of the key things that I've learned that I will be taking away with me is the experience from Australia on the need to engage men. Most of the time, what we keep doing is we keep talking to women, empowering each other. But one of the things we haven't done is the fact that in order to ensure that we have leadership and everybody engaged on board, we usually do not talk to the men. We just always focus our energies on women. And so part of the things, given the fact that Access Bank is part of the people leading change in Nigeria, we will be taking these examples and working with it in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Secretary General, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Bolaji. May I next please call on Ellen McClatchy from Symantec, USA, and thank you also for chairing the US network of the compound.
Thank you very much, Secretary General, Excellencies, and honored guests. This is the 3rd year that I've had the honor of attending this event, and every year I leave inspired by everything that I hear, and I leave recommitted to the power and impact of the WEP and the opportunity that we have to be recommitted to the WEP and use them as a tool and a platform to advance gender equality. Earlier today, we heard from Elizabeth Broderick from Australia, who spoke to us about the imperative of engaging men in our effort to drive gender equality. And so, and we also heard, by the way, from Sue Jung Kim, who shared her very brave and beautiful story about building MCM Holding Company. And she encouraged us to not only to engage men, but also to just do it as women, and that we didn't necessarily need to wait for the men to join us. Last year, when I left the conference, I went back to the office and we launched the WEP Key Stakeholder Committee at Symantec as a way of engaging the broader organization and taking a much more holistic approach to achieving the women's empowerment principles. This year, I'll go back and ensure that the representation on our WEP Key Stakeholders Committee includes a wide representation of men in the organization so that we can get them further engaged in making the WEP really central to our business, way of doing business. So I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here today. It was truly an honor. I want to thank the WEP team who did an excellent job of hosting the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. May I next call on Freda, our good friend, Miriklis. Here you are.
Thank you, Georg. Secretary General, Excellencies, honourable guests. This has been an amazing day. BPW International, or the International Federation of Business and Professional Women, has journeyed this amazing opportunity with the Global Compact and UNIFEM, now UN Women, since 2009. And these consultations, these WEPS events, we have travelled right throughout the world and they keep on getting better. Secretary General, we want to thank you for your commitment, your dedication and your support for empowering women, because without that, we would not have the Women's Empowerment Principles. Today, Secretary General, today we have heard everything from the millennial, how we can engage with the next generation. We've learned about the importance of inclusiveness and having women into supply chains. And also we've heard about inspiring personal and company stories. Company stories like Coca-Cola, who has this vision, Secretary General, about what they can do with 1 can of Coca-Cola. If it can be in any part of the world, then that's where so can the empowerment of women can also be. Can I just say, Secretary General, we leave today inspired and invigorated, and we leave with the power of the potential and the possibilities of what can become. We will now be using the Women's Empowerment Principles as a way for our affiliates to be reporting back to the International Federation. We have 20 that have started now consultations and WEPS events, and we have another 76 to go. Secretary General, thank you again for your leadership, for your dedication. And can I also say, Secretary General, that there is nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And the idea for the empowerment of women, for the Women's Empowerment Principles, it is an enabling tool that allows us today to stand as empowered women leading business from the top, at all levels, and in the communities in which we serve and live. We thank you.
Thank you, Freda. Thank you so much. Finally, I would like to call on Koray Öztürk'le from Turkcell, Turkey. Here you go.
His Excellencies, distinguished guests, I'm honored to be at your presence today. In Turkcell, we have a motto: our business is technology, but essentially our business is people. We strive for developing innovative technology solutions for economic and social development, just as Valerie Janet suggested today. We work with various NGOs, projects aimed at reaching women in terms of education, entrepreneurship, to encourage discrimination-free work environment. Even one person is enough to start a change, as said today. Believing in this, 13 years ago, we launched a CSR program in Turkey, providing 100,000 scholarships as of today, and reaching 28,000 girls in Anatolia, in rural parts of Turkey. Last year, we also introduced crowdsourcing, supporting entrepreneur women with microcredit program, and aiming to reach about 100,000 women in the workforce in the next 4 years. As we emphasized many times today, that equality means business, as Turkcell, we took the leading role in signing Equality in the Workplace Declaration at home in an attempt to help decrease gender gap. As we also discussed the importance of reporting today, in our sustainability report, we are proud to announce that equality at Turkcell is 100% by 50% women employment rate and 42% women in management. Being among the first 3 companies in Turkey to sign the WEPs, we strongly believe that private sector taking initiative in women empowerment process hand in hand with public sector will pave the way to more equality. Furthermore, we have initiated adaptation of WEPs into Turkish, and you can count on us that we will share this with our stakeholders and corporate customers. With this opportunity, I would like to thank you, General Secretary, for we take motivation from you, and we thank you and women. I congratulate all of the upcoming International Women's Day for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much, and thank you also for sticking to the time. Secretary General, this was meant to give an illustration of the many, many wonderful examples we have heard today and the great inspirations, to give you just a first insight into the dynamics of this, what I think we could call now a global movement. And the good news, Secretary General, is also that this movement now is increasingly driven at country level by the champions, and the people who are here are all committed, and we hope and we trust that they will go back and multiply so we can become transformative because we go to scale. So Secretary General, I would kindly invite you now to give us some closing remarks.
Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure and honor for me to meet you even briefly at the conclusion of these very important meetings. Now this CSW is going on, and I'm seeing more women than men in the lobby. Normally, wherever we go, we see some women among so many men. We don't feel much energy and pressure. But these days, I'm feeling a lot of pressure and energy. standing before you, I'm really feeling pressure and energy. That with this energy and voices, I do not know why we are still talking about gender empowerment. 3 years ago, as Georg Kell said, I launched this women's empowerment principles just 3 years ago. We made great strides, and I'd like to congratulate those awardees today. But I think each and everyone should be awarded the prize. But this is, after all, competitive society, so you cannot, we cannot give you all, everybody, these prizes. So I hope you will understand. When I was a young, very young junior officers, I was in charge with third committee. Third committee is a socio-economic committee, of course, dealing with women's issues too. One of items is women's issue. Only during that time, the conference hall was full of women ministers and activists and professors. There were a lot of talks, very strong. At that time, there was not much awareness about the gender equality. And it was just taken for granted that women were just a few. It was only exceptional cases we saw some women who were taking some important positions. What they were appealing at the time in the third committee meeting, that women needs to have more and better opportunities, etc. At the end, what they were saying that unless we get the full support from men leaders, and unless we change the men's mentality, we will not be able to get our dreams realized. Therefore, let's do more and mobilize men. I think you are mobilizing me as a man. Huh? I'm ready to be used. You just use me. And in fact, during the last 6 years, I have been always at the front, to talk about this women's issue. And I am committed to change this society. I have changed a lot in the United Nations. Normally, when you lead by example, you must show that you are doing on your own. If you don't do yourself, you cannot tell other people do what you are not doing. This is what I've been always saying, that lead by example. I am leading by example when it comes to women's empowerment. I have changed the whole this women's empowerment in the United Nations. I have changed, I think increased by 60%, of senior positions of women. They are called Under Secretary General. I am Secretary General 1. I have one Deputy Secretary General. Then we have some Under Secretaries General, and I have increased by 60%. And one rank lower is Assistant Secretary General. I have increased by 40%. All in all, almost by 50% I have increased. That is, I think, phenomenal changes in 60 years. What started, I'm very pleased to see that just a 3-year-old, this women's empowerment principle has become now a global movement. You are coming from all different countries, and I'm very much grateful for your commitment. Women's empowerment is atop my priorities as a Secretary General. You can continue. We must not rest until we end violence against women and ensure women's full political and economic participation worldwide. You have seen this Arab Spring. in Arab Spring, in Tahrir Square and elsewhere, where we have seen this dramatic transformation of political and social changes, it started with women and young people. So they are the ones who are really exercising energy and power. And I've been listening, I've been asking the leaders in Arab world and elsewhere, listen more attentively and carefully what they are saying. They want, if not more, at least equal opportunity, social, economic, and political. They are same human beings. They have a same equal rights. That's what I have been arguing against it. Now, this can be done only with the concerted efforts. I cannot do it alone. We need to act, all of us to act. I'm mobilizing not only women leaders, men leaders. I have created the Men Leaders Network, to protect the human rights and the dignity of women around the world. I have appointed the Reverend Archbishop Desmond Tutu and many president and social and political leaders. All this through the women's empowerment principles. Business also has rightly been brought to the table as a partner. I know that you yourself very big business leaders. You have many good opportunities to promote this gender empowerment principles through your own leadership, through your own network. Companies are taking on real challenges, such as addressing biases and stereotypes and extending inclusions and diversity practices into the supply chains. You have a lot of connections and supply chains. You can use them. Coalitions of change have emerged around the world, from Brazil to South Africa, from Japan to Turkey, from India to Switzerland, all around the world. Today you have acknowledged corporate leaders who are leading the way to empowering women in the workplace, marketplace, and community. These leaders and 500 others around the world have publicly signed a CEO statement of support for the principles. They are demonstrating through action that empowering women is not only the right thing to do, but makes good economic sense. I do not know exactly when about a couple of years ago, this Forbes magazine had surveyed the 500 Fortune 500 surveyed big companies, at least 500 companies. Then where there are more women in the board, then their sales were much, much higher than those companies with lesser number of women. So I've been using this data to explain and encourage them to have more board members as women. I have been saying that it's important to empower women to give job opportunities, but what is more important is to bring women in decision-making positions. By doing that, we can change these systems. We have much more women when you go down the level. But as we go up this ladder, fewer women at the top. Just look at the case of parliament of each and every countries and the cabinet. I have certain, in a sense, to the leaders, bad habit to their eyes. I'm always asking, how many women ministers do you have in this country? How many parliamentarians, women, in your parliament? They ask, we have how many, how many? Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, this is not enough. Please increase more. I'm really changing this, and changes are now taking place. There are 10 countries in the world where not a single woman is represented in the parliament. So I'm just challenging all those 10 countries. One day I was sitting with a king of a certain country. In that country, there used to be 4 women parliament. Then somehow next election, they all lost. You may know where I'm talking. I was sitting with the king. Well, Your Majesty, is not acceptable. Yeah, you should have. Oh no, I cannot control this election. But there are some ways to encourage and facilitate women being elected. In a constituent, normally it is very hard to beat men candidates. There are some ways. There are now three women elected in that parliament in a Middle Eastern country. There are 5 countries in the South Pacific areas, not a single woman. So I met them individually, I met them all collectively, that I'm asking you to change your parliament. Then why? Oh no, I have vice minister woman, I have 1 or 2 cabinet ministers. They are appointed by you. They can be fired tomorrow. But parliamentarians, they are elected by the people, representing the will of the people. Therefore, there should be more women, more women. This is what I did even in my country. In my country, I was speaking to National Assembly that I want to see more Korean women taking decision-making positions. I think there are many now, including President. After having made some changes in the United Nations, I'm now reaching out to the countries, and I will continue to do that. These are something which I wanted to say, but let me say that as we look ahead, I have 3 requests working with me to you. First, help us engage more companies and stakeholders. Reach out to at least 3 business leaders whom you can contact, and just tell them. If they don't listen, challenge them to have more women in those companies. Second, get involved in the post-2015 development agenda process. Make your voices heard. That's very important. Member states are now discussing and consulting sustainable development. Sustainable development will be our top priorities, not only for me, not only for the United Nations, it's for you, for humanity, socially, economically, environmentally. In those 3 pillars, we have to make this world sustainable. This politics should be sustainable, and economic, of course, social situations sustainable, and environmentally. We have to make this planet Earth environmentally sustainable. This is the planet Earth where our succeeding generations will continue to live millennia of years. So we have a moral responsibility to make it happen. Therefore, your voices will be very important. As women leaders, just not only talk about gender empowerment, but if gender empowerment is realized, that we will be able to increase at least by 50% our productivity. The women resources, among so many resources in the world, are the least utilized resources. Then why these 50% of resources are just wasted and neglected? Then we will be able to have we can double the productivity in everywhere, every aspect of our life. Lastly, help us in the urgent task of improving child and maternal health. I have launched what you have heard so many times, Every Woman, Every Child initiatives. This has gotten a lot of support from international community. Every 90 seconds, a woman dies somewhere here, around the world. Every 1 minute, a child dies, particularly when mothers are not healthy. Then children cannot be healthy. They are malnourished, either weak. So there are so many children who cannot celebrate their 5th anniversary, birthday. That's quite sad. We have mobilized a lot of money, support from the business communities and philanthropic organizations. I hope you also join this Every Woman, Every Child. That is the way to empower women again. Because needlessly, so many women are dying, needlessly, from preventable diseases. So we can prevent all those women from dying needlessly. These are something which I'm asking you. There are so many things which I really want to discuss with you, but because of the lateness of the time, I really count on your leadership. But you can also count on me. United Nations, we have so many distinguished leaders in every agencies, and we have very dedicated member states. But you please try to challenge member states, your Congress persons, your president, your prime minister, and even in your companies, your own direct bosses, a chairman or whoever may be. So by doing that, we can raise this awareness. Sometimes it's necessary to make some noises. I hope I'm making a lot of noises, in fact. So by making noises, we can make a better world for all. Better world for all. And I really thank you very much for this opportunity. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary General. You have given us real leadership, and are we all ready to heed the Secretary General's call for the 3 actions? Yes? Yes. So by next year, we have to deliver on scale, on action, and on bringing this whole movement to a truly global transformative one. Thank you all, Secretary General, for your leadership. We will follow your guidance, your inspiration. We will try all very hard, and here are all the wonderful champions from all over the world. We want to thank you from the bottom of our heart for taking the time and focusing on an issue. We hope this day was worth it. We would like to call on you to actually heed the Secretary General's call, and we will check on it by next year together with our colleagues from UN Women, and we hope that the Women's Empowerment Principles become truly transformative. Thank you all. This concludes formally the day. We have a reception here now. Thank you, Secretary General. Thank you all.